Guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's been a while. Anyways, without further ado, let's get straight to the point. Now, ChatGPT is no longer a new thing to anybody, right? It is something that has been trending for a very long time right now. And so today, I want to show you guys how to use ChatGPT as a developer to develop or write code, right? So today, what I want to do is to build a fully functioning website, fully functioning web app that does something useful with the help of ChatGPT. And I want to see if I can complete this in less than 20 minutes. Now, like I said, I want to build a web app. Now, the main challenge here is to complete this in less than 20 minutes. However, since I'm going to be putting you guys through the entire process, it's probably going to take me a longer time to do it than if I was doing it alone. However, let's just see if that will still work out fine. Now, I have access to ChatGPT 4 on my screen here, and I also have my Visual Studio Code. This is what I'm going to be using to write the code. Now, first of all, the first thing we need to do is to conclude on what kind of web app do we want to build. And this is something I've not done before. I'm going to be doing it from scratch. You can see right now I have nothing here, just two empty files, app.py and plan.txt, right? Now, what I'm thinking of is a web app that basically gives you an interface to put in an article or any kind of write-up, and then you just click on summarize, and then you get a summary of whatever it is that you've inputted into that interface. So of course, behind the scene, I'm going to be using ChatGPT behind the scene. So basically, I'm just going to copy that. I'm just going to pass the inputted article into the ChatGPT API, put that within a prompt, and then send that to the API to get a summary of whatever it is the user has inputted into the text box. So how do we go about that? Now that we have a plan, and one interesting thing I want you guys to also know is that I'm a programmer. I've been programming for over 7 years now, close to 8 years, if not more than 8 years, right? However, I'm only familiar with two programming language, which is C++ and Python. I use C++ to develop embedded system projects, and I use Python for my AI projects. Now, however, as you can tell, since this is a web app, we cannot do it with just Python and C++, right? Obviously, I'm going to need something like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, right? And that's the interesting part of this. I don't write those languages, right? I am not an expert in those languages, right? But because I'm using ChatGPT, I expect the process to be smooth and interesting. Do you understand? So I think it's also part of the challenge here. Let's see how somebody with no knowledge of CSS, JavaScript, HTML can use ChatGPT to come up with a web app, right? Now, I've not done this before. Like I said, this is purely unscripted. This is just new for me, right? So let's get straight to the point, right? So I'm going to go to ChatGPT, and I'm going to say, hey, just for fun, anyways. This is unnecessary. Now I'm going to say, I want to build a web app that allows me to put in an article, then I click on summarize to get a summary of the article. Now, this is a very simple prompt, right? But I'm going to stop here. I'm going to be more specific, right? I'm going to say I want to build this web app with Python. Okay, let's see, let's just like this, with Python, Flask, CSS, HTML, and JavaScript. Now, in case you guys are wondering why I'm going with this stack, right? Python, Flask will be used to do the back end of the app. CSS, of course, will be for the styling. HTML is going to be for the markup. That's the content of the web page. And then JavaScript is going to be used for also some of the backend code if necessary, right? If necessary. I don't think it's going to be necessary to use JavaScript. Let's see if I can just stick to HTML and CSS, right? Good. Now, I'm not going to stop there. I'm also going to describe how I want the UI to be to ChatGPT. So I'm going to say this web app is going to be a single page that simply as so I'm going to say one. I'm going to say a big text box on the right. Should we say right? Let's say left. A big text box on the right, a summarize button in the middle, and then the summarized write up, let's just put it that way, summarized write up on the right. That's all. So let's just say help me out with the code for this. Now, one thing you need to know about ChatGPT is that even if you make spelling errors in your prompt, right, it still understands what you are saying, just like how most people understand you even when you make grammatical error, right? So now, of course, it's telling me to install some certain things. Now, one thing I need to I'm gonna correct here is this. I don't want to use this summarizer API that is suggesting for me, which is called BAT extractive summarizer. I don't want to use this. I want to use ChatGPT as a backend for the summarization. So what I want to do is I'm basically going to copy this for now. Okay, so let's just copy this, right? Okay, let's copy this. Let's copy this. I know the way to go about this, right? So this is going to be our app.spy. So let's copy app.spy. Let's copy this, and then let's go to our app.spy here. So this is a Flask code. Control V, right? Okay, now of course, because I understand Python, I can tell that this is the part that does the summary, right? So I'm going to create a function here called summarize, right? So I'm going to call it called summarize, and this function is going to take in the input string. Let's do it that way, and it's going to return the output, or let's just say the summary, right? The summary. Now, of course, we'll come back to this logic here, but for now, let's just have that function there. So summary equals, let's just put an empty string here, right? Now, I believe this is where we get the summarized test. So as you can see, I'm going to change this model here to the function that does the actual summarization. So summarize. Good. Now, like I said, I've been coding in Python for years, so I understand what this is actually. So basically, what ChatGPT has given me, ChatGPT suggested that I use this package called Summarizer, but I don't want to use that. I want to use something else, right? We'll get back to that shortly. And what I've done is create a function that does the actual summarization. And this is the main part of the code. Now, this is going to be the web page. It's going to be a post request. And basically, it's going to get the string that the person has imputed or the article, and it's going to summarize it with this function, right? It's as simple as that. So we're going to return that summarized test. Now let's go back to ChatGPT and let's see what it says. Now it also gives me an HTML code here, and if you watch carefully, it says that I should put the HTML code into this directory. So it means I have to create this directory. I'm going to copy this, go back to my Visual Studio here, and I'm going to create a new file here. I'm going to put that directory here. So okay, I can't do that. Sorry. Okay, let's just create a new folder here. Let's call that templates, and in that template, let's have our, let's see, what does it say we should create the file? Index.html. Okay, fine. Index.html. So inside that template we'll have index.html. Good. Now going back to ChatGPT, it said we should copy the HTML code, which is this code. So let's put that here. Alright, so now we have the HTML code here. Now I don't want to edit this at all. I just want to trust ChatGPT blindly. Of course, I'm not really familiar with HTML like that. Of course, if you have been programming for years, some of these things would look similar, um, familiar rather. However, I don't want to edit any of the code that ChatGPT gives me, aside for some few important things. So I think that is necessary to be edited. So let's go back to here. Okay, fine. It says I should add this particular one here. Okay. So let's come here and go back to Flask. I'm supposed to add another code here. So basically, this is supposed to be, let's see, render template. Okay. All right. This makes sense. Let's try this now. I can already spot an error here, right? This render template is a function, and that function is not defined here at all. I believe that is supposed to be imported here. Okay, fine. That solves the problem. All right, let's run this code and see what happens. Now, right now, remember I only have a dummy function here that does no actual summarization. But for now, let's just take things step by step. So let's just say this is the summary. All right. Now let's run this code. Let's see what happens, right? Finger crossed. Let's run this code. So I'm just going to run. Let's run by clicking run here and let's see what happens. Okay, fine. It has started. And let's go ahead and open this. Good. Exactly what I asked for. So you can see there's a text box here. There's another text box here, and there's a button that says summarize here. So let's just say try and summarize this, and let's click on summarize. Now nothing happened. So there's definitely an error coming from somewhere. So let's go back to the code here, and I can see there's an error here. Unexpected argument, right? Oh, fine. So let's remove this from here. Now, of course, it means the argument was expected by the summarize package that ChatGPT initially recommended. So let's remove that, and let's run this code again, and then let's go back to the code here. Now let's click on summarize. Good. This is the summary. Fine. Now, of course, this is not doing an actual summary yet. However, we're going to put in that logic later. For now, what I want to do is, before I proceed, I want to make that site. The site looks boring to me. I don't know. It looks boring to me. I want to make this appear much more interesting and beautiful. So I'm going to go back to ChatGPT. I'm going to say, I want this web app to look, let's see, to look very professional and modern, right? Please use a blue and black theme. So let's see what happens. Okay, so it's telling me to edit or update the HTML code. So let's see what that does. Let's wait for this to finish generating. Like I said, I don't want to touch any of this HTML code, right? But from what I can tell that there's some scripts here, Google APIs, blah blah blah. Let's see. All right, so the code is done generating. So I'm just going to copy this, and I'm going to go back to my Visual Studio and then update the HTML. So let's just do Control A here and then Control V. All right, so let's restart this here. Control close. Let's restart this and then let's go back. Let's see how it looks like now. So yeah, let's go back. Now it looks nice. The blue and black theme, just like I suggested. This is beautiful. I love this. Text summarizer. This makes sense. All right. So yeah. So now let's talk about the actual logic. So like I said, I want to use ChatGPT to generate the summary, right? So going back to app.py, All I need to do is just to edit this function and put in the function that actually queries ChatGPT to create a summary of whatever string has been imputed. So I know how to do that actually, personally, I know how to do that. But I want to use ChatGPT. I want to see how ChatGPT is going to answer that question for me. So I'm going to tell ChatGPT to help me create a function that uses let's see, open AI GPT-3 to summarize a given test. So it's telling me to install OpenAI. Of course, I have to do that. So let's just do that, and I'll come back to this. So quickly, I'm going to stop this here. And I'm just going to install OpenAI here. So I can just simply say pip install OpenAI. And this should install OpenAI. All right, let's go back here. And okay. Okay, so this is it here. This is it here. Good, good. This makes sense. This makes sense. So I'm gonna just copy this code here. Now, note that it's telling me to edit. Oh, this makes sense actually. You know, I already created a function that does summarization, right? And I didn't even tell ChatGPT I already created that function. Well, I mean, common sense, that's how it's supposed to be, right? So also suggested I create a function that does that summarize, but I already did that, so makes sense. So all I'm going to do is just to all I need is just this part of the code basically. So I'm going to just control C this part of the code, right? And I'm going to go back to my flags and I'm just going to replace that here, right? Control V. Good. Now one more thing that I need to do, I should do, let's see. One more thing I need to do is to get my Open API key. So I'm going to just copy this first two line here. And I'm going to go to my Visual Studio Code and I'm going to paste that. That should be at the top here. Good. So I need a API key for my ChatGPT. So I'm going to go to my OpenAI account and then get an API key quickly, and then we'll come back to this. Now one more thing I need to change is the input string here should be tests, right? Since that's what we're using here. Now, one more thing I need to point out is this. Now, what is actually happening here is the function that was given to me by ChatGPT. Basically, what is happening here is using a particular model called Test DaVinci from OpenAI, and basically it's creating a prompt, right? It's like a prompt template here. So it's passing the tests as a given article by the user of the web app, and it's saying summarize that, right? But I want to make this much more interesting. This is very straightforward prompts. So instead of summarize that, I'm going to say this is actually making sense, but I'm going to say summarize and keep it short. Yeah, summarize and keep it short. Let's just put it that way. Summarize and keep it short. Yeah, that makes sense. Now we need our OpenAI API key, so I'm going to go and get that right now. Alright guys, so I just copied my API key from my OpenAI account and I just pasted it here, right? So this is the API key here. So basically, we have everything good to go. So before we run this code, I believe it's going to work perfectly fine. We're done with our web app already. So before we run this code, let's just go through it. So remember, this was entirely written by ChatGPT. So basically, I have my Open API key here. I have this summarize function that basically takes the tests, pass it to ChatGPT or pass it to OpenAI test DaVinci model, summarize that, right, and then gives us the response back. Right. So let's run this code. Let us waste too much time. Let's run this code and see how it works. Okay, so the code is running, and so let's just follow the link. Now let's try something. Let's just copy. Okay, say let's do something. So let's do this, right? Tell me about dogs. All right, so What I want to do is I'm going to copy this article given by ChatGPT and then try it on my web app if summarize it properly. So let's just wait for this to be done. All right, so we have this from ChatGPT. I'm going to copy this, go to our text summarizer. I'm going to paste this here, and I'm going to click on summarize, and let's see what happens. Wow, wow. Dogs are domesticated mammals that were originally bred from wolves. They have been bred by humans for a long time and were the first animal ever to be domesticated. Dogs are known for man-based. Wow, this is beautiful. So in less than 20, I don't really know how long I spent, but I believe this is less than 20 minutes, probably less than 15 minutes. But in less than 20 minutes, we've been able to build a fully functioning web app with Python, Flask, HTML, and a bit of CSS, right? And here we are, and it's not looking bad. This is nice. This is something I can actually deploy. This is something I can actually deploy. Yeah, I can actually put this somewhere, and we are good to go. All right, guys. So this is just to show you how powerful ChatGPT is, and I feel like if you're a programmer today or a software developer, either an expert, a professional, a beginner, a novice, or someone that is still learning, I feel like if you're not using ChatGPT, then it means he are still an old school programmer, right? So ChatGPT is something I use all the time when writing my codes. ChatGPT and GitHub Copilot, those two things do not leave my side when I'm coding. All right. I think I'm going to make another video, but this time around, I want to make videos for other profession, how you can use ChatGPT in probably as a journalist or as a writer or as a newscaster, whatever it is, right? But this particular one is also to show developers how powerful ChatGPT is, and I believe most developers are already aware of this, right? So I feel like this video is more about those people who are learning how to code, those people who are still, in the beginning stage of their coding career. Do not feel ashamed to use ChatGPT. It is a tool and it is meant to be used to improve your productivity. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you guys, please subscribe, like this video, and please share this video. I really, really, really appreciate it if you can do that. Thank you so much. God bless.